felt like you're carrying something that isn't yours, a weight you can't explain. Maybe it shows up in the way you love. Maybe it's in the way that you hold yourself back when you should be stepping forward, or in the way you feel guilty for resting, even when your body is begging you to slow down. If you've ever asked yourself, why am I like this? And couldn't find the answer in your own life, it might not have started with you. Oh my goodness, this is going to be a tough one. I'm already like hot. Today we're talking about generational trauma, the invisible wounds passed down through families, shaping our beliefs, our relationships, and even our sense of self. The pain we inherit, the stories we absorb, and most importantly, how we break the cycle so we don't pass it down any further. If you're watching this, I already know something about you. You're the one in your family meant to break the cycle. That's not a coincidence. That's a calling. It's tough. So let's begin. What is generational trauma? Because it's a mouthful. Oof. Trauma isn't just something that happens to us. It's something that can live inside of us, even if we've never personally experienced the original wound. Generational trauma is exactly what it sounds like. Pain passed down through families, shaping the way we think, feel, and move through the world. It might be a history of abandonment, poverty, addiction, emotional suppression, or something even deeper. Maybe your grandmother never trusted love because her mother was too busy surviving. Maybe your father never said, "I love you," because his father never did. These aren't just habits. They're survival mechanisms that get woven into us before we even understand them. The science behind it is this: trauma is stored in our DNA. This isn't just an emotional concept. It's backed by science. The study of epigenetics has shown that trauma can literally change the way our genes are expressed. This means the stress, fear, and pain your ancestors endured could be physically imprinted onto your DNA, affecting your nervous system, your stress response, and even your ability to trust and to connect with others. This is why some of us feel fear and anxiety or unworthiness, even when our own lives seem fine. It's not just about what happened to us. It's about what happened before us. So how does generational trauma get passed down? We inherit more than just eye color and facial features from our family. We inherit patterns, and those patterns show up in three major ways. One, emotional inheritance, the stories we absorb. Have you ever noticed how certain phrases get repeated in families? Maybe you grew up hearing things like, "Oh, money is always a struggle," or "love always comes with pain." These beliefs shape your identity before we even know that we're absorbing them. They become the unconscious scripts we live by until we choose to challenge them. Number two, behavioral patterns, the cycles we repeat. Maybe you've watched generations of women in your family overgive until they're exhausted. Or maybe you see the same cycle of emotional unavailability playing out in relationships decade after decade after decade. These patterns don't just appear, they are passed down, often without us even realizing it. Number 3, the nervous system wiring. Our body remembers. Even if you don't remember a traumatic event, your body might. If your ancestors lived in survival mode, whether through war, displacement, or emotional neglect, you may have inherited a nervous system that is constantly on the edge. This explains why some of us struggle to relax, to trust, or to feel safe in our own skin. Now I know. Okay, now I'm going to share something personal with you because I know firsthand how generational trauma can shape a life. Okay, every other summer, I fly my mom here to Sweden in the summer because she loves being here. And last summer, she actually came with 2 of her sisters and a cousin of mine. Like, my mom's 80, my aunt, my yaya, Carmen, is 90, and my aunt, Titi Inya, she is in her late 60s. So it's 10 years between all 3 of them. And it was so interesting to hear how their father and how they were raised. I mean, they have like a spin of humor, which I think it's something generational that we pass down, that we make things funny, that we really shouldn't make funny, but they make it funny. And for the longest time, when I was young, I always thought that my mom, she didn't love me. Now, I'm sharing a lot, but this is where it comes from. She always showed me what her love language was through buying me things and doing things for me. And until I went to therapy and read a lot of personal development books, I didn't really understand it. And then through the last probably 10 years, as I've gotten into my late 40s and my 50s, I start asking questions and listening to them tell their stories. And they happen to tell a story about my abuelo, my mom's father, who is from the Canary Islands. And they shared this incredible story. Like, they always said that he was incredibly physically abusive and verbally abusive, which is just crazy. But follow me. 1930s, white Spaniard who is from the Canary Islands and who was physically and verbally abused by his father. So much so, get this, in the 1930s. Can you imagine a 12-year-old leaving their family's farm and going to the next door farm and continuing to work on farms to make ends meet, to become a master carpenter over the next 20 years and continue that cycle of generational trauma? It wasn't until I really having the emotional distance from what has happened to me as a child and recognizing that that was just generational trauma. And of course, I did a lot of therapy and I've learned my triggers and I've understood where they come from. And I don't blame my mother because I also know from a psychological perspective, what our parents do to us is half of what was done to them. And if you think about it, when you're a kid, what is what you say? I am never going to treat my kids the way my parents treated me. And there's something to that. So now I understood in my own life when my mother would yell and scream and wasn't so physically abusive, but she definitely would yell and scream. It was her way of expressing herself and her frustration. And she didn't really know any different. So guess what? I did the same thing. My brother and I, that's the way we express and we yell and we scream out of fear, out of not feeling loved, out of not being good enough until you learn something different. And I'll tell you when I learned something different. My late husband was a famous physician, a radiation oncologist. He was freaking incredible. And he was 10 years older than I when we met. And he had such a peace and such a love to him. And no tolerance for BS, I can tell you that. And when we first started dating, because this was the communication that I knew, this is how I knew how to express myself. So the moment I was afraid or felt that I wasn't going to be loved or someone was going to abandon me or leave me or something like this, I acted a fool. like so many of us do. But I'll tell you what happened. My late husband said, no, we're not going to do this. You're not going to disrespect me. This is completely unacceptable. Now, Vanessa Lee, if you need 10 minutes to walk away and gather yourself, your emotions and your thoughts, and come back and have a clear and calm conversation and us come to a resolution together, then you take that. But this screaming and yelling, no, we're not going to do that anymore. Can I tell you, it shocked me because I had never heard that before. I didn't even know that people could speak calmly and softly and concisely and have an emotional distance and be able to pause and say, I need a minute to gather myself before we continue this conversation. It evolutionized my life. And from that point forward, in my mid-30s, I learned that I can express myself. And just because these are the triggers I had from childhood does not mean that I need to pass them on as I move forward in my life. And that was really the beginning of recognizing that I am in complete control of what I do, what I choose to do or not choose to do. If I choose to react, these are the consequences. If I choose to respond, these are the consequences. And knowing the difference between knowing the difference between the two changed my life. Okay, so now let's go back to the regular scheduled program. Okay, now, maybe you see yourself in my story. Maybe you're starting to see the patterns in your own family that you never noticed before. Either way, here's the good news. You have the power to break the cycle. And I'm going to show you how. So, how can we break the cycle? And we're going to do it in a couple of different steps, okay? First of all, healing doesn't happen overnight. It didn't take you a day to get here. It's not going to take you a day to get over it or fix it. But it does happen when we start making small, intentional shifts. And here are 10 ways to begin breaking the cycle today. Number 1 is recognize there's a pattern. Journaling. What is the behavior or belief in my life that doesn't really belong to me? Number 2, write down the story. Replace limiting beliefs with empowering ones. Example, instead of love always hurts, try I am worthy of safe, healthy love. 3, regulate your nervous system. Daily deep breathing, meditation, or grounding exercises have made me a better person. Use it. 4, set boundaries, even with your family. Remember, boundaries aren't rejection, they're protection. 5, find healing spaces. Therapy, girl, oof, sisterhood circles, or conscious communities. 6, do the work. The inner child work speaks to your younger self with kindness. Imagine what she needed to hear. Say it to her now. 7, break the silence. Have open conversations with family members about past pains and inherited beliefs. 8, practice self-compassion. Healing takes time. Be patient with yourself. 9, ancestral healing practices. I love a ritual. Rituals like lighting a candle for your ancestors, writing them a letter, or speaking their names with love and intention creates magic. 10, commit to conscious parenting. If you have children, even if you don't have kids, you can be the cycle breaker in your family. Now, for our show-stopping conclusion. You, my darling, are the turning point. The one who gets to say, it stops with me. And as you heal, something miraculous happens. You don't just free yourself, you free the generations that come after you. This is your time, your power, your legacy. If this spoke to you, let me know in the comments. What's one pattern you're choosing to break today? And don't forget, subscribe to the channel. It lets me know that you like the content. Feminine Spaces is here for you every step of the way. I'll see you in the next video.